We were doing somewhere around, I'm going to say like somewhere 20, 25 members. It's a mix between lifetime and annual, somewhere around that range. Yeah, we did like 250 members. So basically like 10x. And we did like 25 to 30K. So
Okay.
great, a really great return. This is not a simple kind of widget thing that we're selling. There's some nuance here. It takes some time to understand what this actually is and what it means. And because the topic goes deep with our client base, I think it's easy to maybe rub me the wrong way and to be too pushy on the sales front can come off wrong. And then my personal brand is tied to it. So the hesitation really is, and whoever I'm going to work with, are they going to take the time to understand what this is, what it means, and how we sell it without alienating all the people who are just there for a little more information. You don't know what you don't know. It's easy to think because you know the topic. No doubt I know the topic way better than you to be able, but that doesn't make me the better salesperson, doesn't make me the better copywriter. I think that was very clear. And the other thing I mentioned earlier, but I have to like stress, I think everyone thinks their business is like so unique and so different. I think in this case, it actually is, because like, what is Aphantasia? Like this weird concept. You are still able to take that and customize it to our business, to our voice, to our audience in a way that resonated. And so like that in and of itself is just so valuable. Just like how clear and straightforward you were able to make the sales pitches. I think that was just what was most surprising, was actually just how you positioned the offering and how you were able to communicate directly with the audience. That many times I read the emails before sending them, and I was like, wow, this is like, why didn't I think that?
I'm back with another client success interview. This time it's not a B2B company. It's not like a BizOp kind of course creator, coaching program, consultant kind of client. This is B2C, and it's a niche I have not worked with before. I'd like to welcome my client and friend, hopefully, Tom Ebeyer. Tom, welcome.
Thank you very much. Definitely friend after the great work we've done together.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business?
My name's Tom Ebeyer. I'm running something called the Aphantasia network. Aphantasia is like this unique cognitive condition where people don't visualize in their mind's eye. Condition was only really discovered in 2015, but it affects up to 3% of the population. So a lot of people discover this about themselves later in life and have lots of questions, trying to figure out what it means for their life. And so we run a community where people come and meet other like minds, get resources to try and figure out how to make sense of this thing and turn it into a strength in their life.
And did I understand correctly that you are either the first documented person or one of the first documented people with this condition?
The first documented case in 2015 in genital aphantasia. They were studying me and this thing before there was a name for it, which is pretty cool to see how it's come.
What motivated you to create aphantasia.com? Because I believe it's like the number one resource on the internet for the condition.
Absolutely. When I discovered that other people around me could visualize, I thought I was the weirdo and like this superpower that everyone else had that I didn't. I'll be honest, I felt kind of like I was a little sad about it, a little depressed, felt like I was missing something that seemed important in people's lives. If you can think, you're imagining, I don't know, your friends or your memories, and it's easy to romanticize these kind of ideas. And I think you can get caught in that kind of train of thought that because you're missing something or because other people can do something you can't, you're like less than or missing out. And after that paper was published in 2015, I had people all around the world reaching out to me, asking me those same questions. Does this mean I can't be creative, or does this mean I can't do this? And many people were quite upset about it. And everything online at the time was like, oh, just close your eyes and meditate, and then you can visualize. And so I'm there like waiting for the pictures to come. And of course, none of that did. So it's just very clear that there needed to be a place where there was, some more significant research, a link to all the scientific studies going on. And aphantasia still is in the top 5% of new research interest. But when you measure the number of citations using something called alt metric, which measures these separate things. So there's a lot of emerging science. But the problem is with any of these kind of new scientific fields, so much of that research just sits in academic journals and never reaches the public. And then the things that dominate the public discourse are like, all the more the victim narrative kind of stuff. And I just think that's the self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're looking for the negative and telling yourself that you're a victim of this, then that's just a net negative in your life. And so that was the motivation and drive to try and help people reframe that so that it becomes more of a positive force.
And then when you reached out to me, you basically run this website and the business side of it by yourself, is it?
Yep. Me and my fiance, he helps with some of the other stuff I'm not good at. But yeah.
And have you worked with copywriters in the past before you work with us?
I've paid a copywriter on Upwork in the past. I've never sent a copywriter email because I was not happy with it. So this will be the first time that we actually did a proper project with a copywriter.
Okay. So you've worked with copywriters on Upwork, but you didn't use their work that they delivered?
No, I never ended up sending it. Just didn't feel right. I send everything under my personal name. I built up a personal brand about it. And I was definitely a little hesitant to protect that brand image that we've built up over the last 5 years.
And so before we started working together, you send all of your emails yourself. You send a newsletter, you send a bunch of other emails. And so what would you say was the main concern or hesitation that you had about working with a copywriter or having someone ghostwrite for you?
It's like, this is not a simple kind of widget thing that we're selling. There's some nuance here. It takes some time to understand what this actually is and what it means. And because the topic goes deep with our client base, I think it's easy to maybe rub them the wrong way and to be too pushy on the sales front can come off wrong. And then my personal brand is tied to it. And so the hesitation really is, and whoever I'm going to work with, are they going to take the time to understand what this is, what it means, and how we sell it without alienating all the people who are just there for a little more information.
And so your main product is your membership community, which is an annual subscription. You have a lifetime membership as well. Besides that, you have the online store that sells merch and things like that. So before working with us, how well was the membership program selling? Like, how many new members were you adding per month?
Yeah, so we were doing somewhere around, I'm going to say like somewhere 20, 25 members, maybe a little more than that. Yeah, I guess it makes between lifetime and annual, somewhere around that range.
And then after we started working together, we decided first thing we were going to do is like a sales promotion just to get all the buyers on the list. So we sent 10 promotional emails over the course of 1 month. How many new members did we add to the community, and how much, if you don't mind saying, how much revenue did you make?
Yeah, we did like 250 members. So basically like 10x, and we did like 25 to 30K. So great, a really great return. What was most shocking to me was the number of people who said they didn't know anything about the membership community. And I'm like, I read most about this. How do you not know? I don't know. I was definitely missing something that you were able to bring into how we communicated that resonated and that made people pay attention to. Yeah.
That's a good point that you brought up, because the email that you send, because you're writing it and sending, it's the most important thing to you on that day, but it's like the least important thing to your subscribers. So you might be thinking that you're telling them about all this cool stuff that you have to offer, but 1, did they see it in their inbox? 2, did they read it? 3, did they understand it? 4, did they care? And so there's so many different variables that make it so that the person that you're emailing will never see your offer in the first place. So that's why it helps to 1, email more often, and then sell in every email if you can. So that's basically what we did. I don't think we did anything special. We just sent more emails and we told them about your offer more often.
And it worked. I was surprised. I was definitely thinking that we'd more than get the return on the investment, but we definitely surpassed expectations.
And I was a little worried because before we started sending the promo emails, we did a survey of the list just to re-engage the subscribers. And we asked them, hey, what's stopping you from joining the membership community? I think we got over 1,000. I still checked the feedback sheet a week ago or a couple of weeks ago, and there's over 1,000 responses in there. And like the majority of them who responded said, it's too expensive, I can't afford to join, that kind of thing. Which, what people say and what they do is 2 different things usually.
I'll have to spend some time on this, but I just know from recognizing names, like many people who said that it was too expensive or whatever ended up joining. It's more just I guess they just didn't understand or were never really sold properly. I was feeling a little bit like, oh man, maybe this won't work. After reading all those kind of, because it's like, it was a little discouraging to see all things, but just power through it and it worked out.
Yeah. And I was only expecting 2x or 3x ROI from this project, but we ended up pretty much 10xing it. But let me ask you, did you notice anything else remarkable or surprising after we started this project and took over your list and started mailing for you?
I think, a lot of the surprises are one kind of personal. You have this way of writing that is just so clear and direct and honest that just resonated. I always had this, I don't know if it's not a hesitation to sell. It's a business. I know that you have to sell, but just like how clear and straightforward you were able to make the sales pitches. I think that was just what was most surprising, was actually just how you positioned the offering and how you were able to communicate directly with the audience. That many times I read the emails before I sent them and I was like, wow, this is like, why didn't I think that? Like that kind of stuff was, I think, most surprising. And then we got some really great feedback on giving the contacts the ability to opt out of upcoming marketing emails. They loved that. I got lots of people who were like, wow, thank you for doing that. I think it was just these kind of things that the whole process that went behind it, that was very enlightening.
I knew that I had to take a slightly different approach because this is not like a business opportunity kind of internet marketing kind of list. It was like, these are just like regular civilians. They're not in the online business kind of world. So they're not used to being sold to. So when you sell it, it can come off quite aggressive. But really, I think what happens with a lot of people who are not experienced, I wouldn't say who don't have the expertise. It's just practice and experience. What happens is that when they try to sell, they put on their salesman voice instead of just having a normal conversation with people, because like email is a one-to-one conversation, right? Like you have that voice with already when you send your personal emails. I've seen it when I receive your newsletter, but then when there's some sort of like mental block that comes over when it's time to sell. So it's just a matter of just maintaining that communication throughout. It gets easier if you sell in every email and if you email more often.
A really great experience, honestly. If there were more than 5 stars in the rating, it'd be a lot. I would definitely do that.
That brings me to my last question. What would you say to business owners who are currently, they're mostly handling the business themselves or handling their marketing themselves? They're writing all their own copy. What would you say to them who are on the fence about hiring a copywriter or a ghostwriter or working with people like Dropkick Copy?
I would say you don't know what you don't know. It's easy to think because you know the topic. No doubt I know the topic way better than you do, Bill, but that doesn't make me the better salesperson, doesn't make me the better copywriter. I think that was very clear. And the other thing I mentioned earlier, but I have to stress, I think everyone thinks their business is like so unique and so different. And I think in this case, it actually is, because like, what is Aphantasia? Like this weird concept. You are still able to take that and customize it to our business, to our voice, to our audience in a way that resonated. And so like that in and of itself is just so valuable. That's for anyone else who's like on the fence and thinking, oh, me and my business is, you won't understand, you won't get my business. I think this is a pretty good testimonial, a pretty good case that if you can understand it, Aphantasia business, you can probably understand whatever else they're working with.
Amazing. Tom, thank you so much for your time. And I'm looking forward to working on this next project with you.